Good evening, everyone. Today I want to offer you something both incredibly practical and deeply transformative. We're not talking about abstract philosophies or motivational fluff. We're talking about science-backed experience-tested life lessons, 70 of them, that, if practiced consistently, will solve the vast majority of the problems you face. In fact, I'd argue they will fix about 93% of your problems, both internal and external. Your brain is shaped not by what you hope to do, but by what you consistently do . This is a fundamental truth in neuroscience known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself based on experience. The more you repeat a behavior, the stronger the neural circuits behind that behavior become. This is not philosophical, it's biological. Every time you perform an action, you reinforce the pathways in your brain that made that action possible. If you want to change who you are, you have to start by changing what you repeatedly do, not what you say you'll do. Intentions are easy, they're safe. We intend to eat healthier, wake up earlier, call that friend, start that project, go to the gym. But intentions don't create change, actions do. Your brain doesn't rewire based on your goals or feelings. It rewires through practice . If you say you're a writer but never write, your brain isn't laying down the identity of a writer. It's simply reinforcing the identity of a person who thinks about writing, and those are not the same. Repetition is what creates internal confirmation. It tells the nervous system, this matters, do more of it. The process is as mechanical as brushing your teeth, automatic when trained, nearly impossible when left to willpower alone. Here's where it gets powerful. Small behaviors done daily accumulate into massive identity shifts. You don't have to make huge changes, you just need to be consistent. 1 10-minute walk each morning starts to signal your brain that movement is part of your identity. Writing 100 words a day starts building the wiring of a disciplined thinker. Waking up at the same time every day, no matter how late you went to bed, begins reinforcing circadian stability, which improves cognition and emotional regulation. These are not self-help hacks. These are neural strategies for transformation. So if you want to change, don't start with the big vision. Start with a tiny behavior, then repeat it. That's where identity is forged, not in the motivational high, but in the mundane repetition. The key is not to aim for perfection, but for pattern. Your nervous system learns through frequency, not intensity. This is why showing up, even when you don't feel like it, is crucial. It's not about discipline, it's about neurological conditioning. Over time, that conditioning becomes character. And character, in the end, is what shapes your outcomes. The person you are right now is a product of your past patterns. The person you will become is entirely dependent on the patterns you choose starting today. Dopamine is one of the most misunderstood chemicals in human biology. People often think it's about pleasure, but that's only part of the story. Dopamine is not just released when you get a reward. It's released in anticipation of the reward. This makes it a chemical of motivation and pursuit . If you've ever felt a rush of energy while working toward a goal, solving a problem, or moving toward a meaningful target, you've felt dopamine in action. It's what makes the journey itself exciting, but when you constantly chase instant gratification, scrolling, binge watching, snacking, you train your brain to expect quick hits of dopamine without effort. This damages your capacity for long-term focus and discipline. The nervous system is deeply responsive to how dopamine is regulated. When you flood your system with quick, artificial spikes through social media, junk food, or impulsive habits, you actually lower your baseline dopamine levels over time. This leads to a kind of dopamine burnout, where nothing feels engaging anymore, even things you once enjoyed. You begin to feel tired, unmotivated, and restless, not because something's wrong with you, but because you've hijacked your brain's reward system. But there's a solution, and it's both simple and profound. Asterisk asterisk learn to associate dopamine with effort, not outcome asterisk asterisk. When you start enjoying the process, the training, the studying, the working, you rewire your brain for sustainable motivation. This is known as dopamine tethering. If you only release dopamine when you win, you'll burn out. But if you release it while asterisk trying asterisk, while asterisk struggling asterisk, you become nearly unstoppable. That's not just philosophy, it's biology. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, they don't chase wins alone. They find dopamine in the process of asterisk becoming asterisk. This shift is critical when you reward yourself psychologically for showing up, not just for finishing. You're building a reward loop that strengthens effort-based behavior. The science shows that people who delay gratification and derive satisfaction from progress, not perfection, are more likely to persist and succeed. They have higher resilience because their dopamine system is balanced, not spiked and crashed, but rhythmically reinforced. You can apply this today. Next time you go for a workout, focus on the fact that you're asterisk doing it asterisk, not how much you lift or how fast you go. When you write, acknowledge the act of writing, not how good it is. Every time you pair dopamine with effort, you build endurance. You train your nervous system to love the grind. Over time, this creates deep neural pathways that prioritize long-term goals over short-term distractions. Mastering dopamine is not about avoiding pleasure, it's about asterisk directing asterisk it. When you learn to love the work, you'll never depend on motivation again. You'll move with consistency because your brain is no longer chasing quick wins, it's chasing growth. And that's how real transformation happens. Sleep is not a luxury. It's the foundation of physical health, emotional balance, cognitive performance, and hormonal regulation. If your sleep is broken, almost every system in your body suffers. The brain does not reset with caffeine or discipline. It resets through deep, consistent rest. One of the most overlooked truths in neuroscience is that chronic sleep deprivation mimics symptoms of anxiety, depression, ADHD, and even early dementia. In other words, many of the problems we think are mental or emotional are actually rooted in poor sleep hygiene. Your circadian rhythm, the internal biological clock that regulates your 24-hour cycle, controls not only when you feel tired or alert, but also your metabolism, immune function, and mental clarity. It's governed by environmental cues, primarily asterisk light asterisk. Morning sunlight, within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking, sends a signal to your brain through the retina that it's time to be awake. This initiates a cascade of hormonal activity, including the suppression of melatonin in the sleep hormone and the rise of cortisol, a healthy morning stress hormone that helps you focus. Getting this early light anchors your rhythm. Miss it and your internal clock drifts, making it harder to fall asleep at night and harder to focus during the day. Equally important is what you do in the evening. Artificial light, especially from screens, suppresses melatonin in production, which delays sleep onset and reduces sleep quality. That's not just a theory. It's measurable in EEG studies. Blue light in the hours before bed signals to your brain that it's still daytime. Your nervous system stays alert, your sleep becomes shallow, and your brain misses critical phases like slow, wave, and REM sleep, both essential for memory consolidation and emotional regulation. Sleep also governs your metabolic health. Just one night of poor sleep impairs insulin sensitivity, increases cravings for sugar and processed foods, and reduces your ability to make rational decisions. You are more emotionally reactive, less creative, and significantly more impulsive. Over time, the consequences stack: weight gain, burnout, anxiety, and a weakened immune system. But the good news is that small, consistent changes make a massive difference. Wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Get sunlight in your eyes within 30 minutes of waking. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. and minimize screen exposure at least 60 minutes before bed. Keep your room cool, dark, and quiet. These aren't just sleep tips. They're nervous system protocols designed to optimize your biology. Most people are chasing better productivity, focus, and emotional control through supplements, routines, or motivation hacks. But none of those will work if your sleep is compromised. Sleep is not passive recovery. It's active neurological maintenance. It's the cleanup crew for your brain and the hormone regulator for your body. Fix your sleep, and the quality of your thinking, feeling, and doing improves across the board. It's not just about resting, it's about resetting. Movement is one of the most powerful and underutilized tools for regulating the brain. It doesn't just affect your muscles or cardiovascular system. It directly impacts your mood, attention, memory, and overall psychological state. When you move your body, you stimulate a range of neurochemicals that increase focus, reduce anxiety, and elevate your overall sense of well-being. This isn't a theory. It's supported by decades of neuroscience research. Regular physical activity increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, which acts like fertilizer for the brain. BDNF supports the growth of new neurons, strengthens existing ones, and enhances synaptic plasticity, which is the foundation of learning and memory. Even a short, brisk walk can change your neurochemical state. Within minutes, you get a surge of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, chemicals associated with alertness, motivation, and emotional stability. These aren't trivial shifts. They're measurable and significant. For individuals dealing with mild to moderate depression, consistent physical movement has been shown to be as effective as some antidepressants, without the side effects. And unlike medication, exercise builds capacity over time. Your brain becomes more resilient, not just temporarily better. The type of movement doesn't always have to be intense. Resistance training, cardiovascular exercise, yoga, stretching, even dancing. Each provides unique benefits. The key is frequency and consistency, not intensity alone. The more regularly you move, the more regulated your nervous system becomes. You improve your stress response, your ability to sleep, and your capacity to handle emotional discomfort. When your body is in motion, your mind becomes more adaptable. You literally think better. Importantly, movement is also a feedback loop. When you're stressed or overwhelmed, your first instinct might be to stay still or isolate, but that's often the worst thing you can do. In states of emotional agitation, your nervous system is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Physical activity helps metabolize those hormones, returning the body and brain to baseline. It's a biological reset switch, allowing you to process emotions more clearly rather than being controlled by them. This is why movement isn't just about health. It's about mental regulation. It's a protocol. A 20-minute walk in the sun without your phone has the power to reset your thinking, improve your energy, and elevate your sense of control. In high-performance environments, from military training to elite sports, movement is used not just for conditioning, but for resilience training. That same principle applies to daily life. You don't move to get fit. You move to get free from stress, from stagnation, from stuck thought patterns. So if you're stuck in a mental rut or struggling with emotional fatigue, don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Stand up, stretch, go outside, walk. Your brain will thank you, your emotions will stabilize, and your energy will shift. Movement is not optional for a well-regulated life. It's essential. The fastest path to mental clarity often starts with your feet. Most people overestimate their willpower and underestimate the power of their environment. We like to believe that change comes from mental toughness alone, but neuroscience and behavioral psychology tell a different story. Willpower is a limited resource. It depletes with use, much like a muscle. And when it runs out, We default to the easiest, most familiar option available. That's where environment design becomes the critical factor. The cues around you shape your actions far more than your intentions do. In fact, studies show that environment has a stronger influence on behavior than motivation or discipline, especially when you're tired, distracted, or emotionally drained. The brain constantly responds to what it sees, hears, and senses. If your phone is within reach, you're more likely to pick it up. If junk food is visible on the counter, you'll probably eat it. If your workspace is cluttered, your cognitive load increases and your focus drops. But when your environment is designed to support your goals, healthy food is visible, your phone is out of sight, your tools are organized, you're far more likely to act in alignment with your values without even thinking about it. This is not about self-control. It's about Q control *. Changing your environment doesn't mean renovating your home or buying expensive gadgets. It means intentionally shaping your spaces so the actions you want to take become easier and the ones you want to avoid become harder. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow. Want to stop doom scrolling? Charge your phone in a different room at night. Want to work out in the morning? Lay out your clothes the night before. These small tweaks reduce the friction between intention and action. And in neuroscience, friction is everything. The more steps required to start a task, the less likely it is that you'll do it, especially when your mental energy is low. This principle extends to digital environments too. If your desktop is full of distractions, if your phone is loaded with notifications, if your apps pull you into reactive behavior, your cognitive performance will suffer. But with just a few adjustments, disabling alerts, using website blockers, creating focused spaces, you can reclaim mental clarity and get more done with less effort. Again, not through sheer willpower, but through intelligent design. The goal is to make your environment do the heavy lifting for you. When your surroundings align with your goals, behavior change becomes automatic. You don't have to force it. You just flow into it. Over time, these systems become the scaffolding for consistency, and consistency is what leads to transformation. So don't just rely on being stronger. Be smarter with how you design your world, because if you're constantly battling your environment, you'll lose. But if you align it with your goals, you'll win, quietly, consistently, and without burnout. That's not a motivational slogan. That's neuroscience at work.